Welcome to elementary. Have you ever found a coat of paint transforms a space? I'll say it's the most appealing thing that you can do to transform your space. Painting is such an intricate part of a home space. My guest is going to ask me to join. There's a little icon at the bottom. But as we were saying, transform a room with a fresh coat of paint. I'm always excited.
There we go.
There we go.
Hello.
Hello. Thank you. Thank you so much for getting on the show.
Yes.
I am. Yes. So the last few weeks, before we get started, the last few weeks I've been having a little bit of lag. Now, last week I didn't have any lag, but there's no telling with this Instagram Live. So I hope we don't have any today. And if someone can hear some lag, they'll probably just let us know. And then what I'll say is wait a couple minutes before you respond. That's all. So we're not talking. So thank you so much. We'll get started and introduce yourself.
All right.
And your Instagram.
So I am Matt Swoboda, and I am one of the co-owners of CertaPro Painters of Toronto.
I am Lindsay Swoboda, as you may guess, Matthew's wife, and also co-owner of CertaPro Painters of Toronto.
And the boss, right? And the boss, Lindsay. Uh-oh. Can you hear me? Uh-oh, looks like they froze. You're frozen. If you wouldn't mind logging off and asking to join again, because you're frozen. So as I was saying, painting is such an important part of at least my life and my clients. And it transforms any space. So Lindsay, if you can hear me, if you can just log off and log back in because you're frozen on my screen. There we go. They are logging in. So sorry. Sometimes we have technical difficulties and we just have to manage them, right? Just what I was speaking. Let's not talk about those technical difficulties. All right, so introduce yourself. You introduced yourself. Introduce your Instagram handle.
We are Certapro Painters of Toronto. We operate in the Toronto and Muskoka region, and you'll see our very bright yellow emblem, and you'll be able to find us on Instagram and Facebook as well.
Yeah, affectionately known as Certa Gold.
Certa Gold. So it's CertaPro Painters _ Toronto. That's the Instagram handle. And on Facebook, is it the same or is it just
CertaPro Painters Toronto? You'll be able to find us.
Okay, perfect. So how do you approach new painting jobs? And what steps do you take to,
Well, every painting job is different. Everyone has different needs, different requirements for the job. Is it a home that, they're going to live in and love, or is it a home they're looking to exit? That creates a few different strategies for how we go about painting that space, and it ultimately just comes down to understanding that need. With paint, there is a very wide variety of qualities and finishes, and with those come costs. So one thing we're always trying to do with understanding the client's needs is keep all those factors into consideration. Because there's, you have your very upscale paints like your Faro and Balls, where, they could be upwards of $130 a gallon with today's pricing. And then we have some grades of paint that are far superior to anything that would be contractor grade or considered close, but is priced a lot more aggressively, where that's around $45 to $48 a gallon. So you can see over the scope of a whole home project, especially something where you're looking to get out of, where the benefit is there. I mean, that could save you thousands on the cost of an entire interior repaint. And then when we get into the quality element of things, sorry if I'm running a little on with this question, I'm a little bit passionate about it. But when it comes to quality, it's the tools that we use. As in any trade, the quality of the work you can deliver is highly dependent upon the tools you use to create your work. So, I mean, it's the little things. We use very high quality brushes. Our brushes cost 5 times what a regular paintbrush would cost, but you see that in the finishes because they're finer bristles. They don't leave those same streaks and marks. Our rollers, we use microfiber rollers. We're very quality focused. Even in our projects where they're more budget, let's say, we're still maintaining those quality standards so that you get a great finish. There's always a great finish. It's just that material cost differential that creates that spread of what the cost may or may not be.
Well, you should be excited about paint. I would be a little worried if you were not. But while we're talking about paint, what are some of the types of paints and material that you typically use, and why do you
well, our main provider of paint is Sherwin-Williams. They make excellent products, and we have a very close relationship with them, so our pricing is very, very good. With that, I mean, we extend that pricing onto our clients, so the paint products that we would use, you're going to get from us cheaper than you could if you were to go over the counter, buy it, and attempt to take on the project yourself. So, I mean, there's always benefits of using a professional painter aside from the quality of the finish. It's also in those costs. Other products that we use, depending on, what the client is specifically looking for, is, we do use Benjamin Moore. A lot of designers prefer to use Faro and Ball, especially on your more upscale custom homes. So we use those as well. And I mean, kind of going back to our tooling, we use, primarily Purdy brushes and rollers, Graco sprayers, all, we try and stick to the best that is available to provide that high quality finish. And that's really what separates a professional painter in part from, your amateur painters. There's many other variables, but that's a big piece of the pie because all those things have a significant cost to them that your painter that's just starting out really doesn't have access to.
No, absolutely. And of course, the quality of the workmanship, you can't get away from that piece. But, I'm sure you have challenges in this workspace. And, what are some of the challenges you encounter as a professional painter? And how do you overcome some of that?
It's a very broad question, and there's kind of several segments of challenges. I will say one of the biggest challenges with being a painter is the concept that, anyone can pick up a brush, but not anyone can be a pro. And, the differences of what that means for the overall product. Preparation is very, very key into having, a quality finish, something that you're proud of and something that's going to last for years to come. And that takes experience. That's an art. That's a skill. And that, like I said, comes over experience and time, where if you're somebody that's just kind of starting out and says, I would love to be able to paint because I love the aesthetics of it, but I don't have the experience. On the client side of things, that has its detriments.
And, expecting the unexpected too, I think is, we're able to manage those challenges. I know recently, a couple weeks ago, we were actually in a customer's house and, in preparation to paint, they discovered a very, very large leak in the ceiling from a bathroom upstairs. And, for us, we have to pause on our project, but we were able to finish the majority of the work and then refer the customer to, one of our preferred plumbers that we work with, so we know that they're going to get quality, a residential plumber. And a couple weeks later, once the wall had completely dried out, we were able to do that repair and complete the project for them. And sometimes these things happen, and we need to be able to have crews available and trusted partners to work with to help manage these areas of work that we don't work in. We're not general contractors. We stick to what we know and what we know well, but we do have these trusted partnerships where we can help refer our clients for any surprises that come along the way. And it's not uncommon to see actually a plumbing leak through a wall, because by the time a customer usually finds it, it's come through that wall completely. So sometimes we're lucky and we help catch things early for people as well.
Yeah, and that's excellent, and it definitely helps that you've caught it before you paint and you go back and do the job all over again. That's even worse, right? How do you communicate with clients? Like, let's say, someone just to understand their vision of what they try.
So the key to that really is just frequency, because that vision is very dynamic. It starts as one thing, but then as the project progresses, you can see, what if we made this alteration here, this alteration there, and that, like I said, that viewpoint changes, it adapts. So we communicate, daily, sometimes more, to make sure that we are keeping our clients' vision in mind. Because ultimately, the cost of a quality paint product is not inexpensive. So our reputation is built on delivering that quality product, something that you're happy with. We're a word of mouth based business. So if it's the longer you are happy with the product that you are delivered, the greater a marketing asset our clients become to us.
You're saying all the right things. I love hearing this stuff because that's what I pride myself on, right? I just love it because it's so important for, your clients. Pricing is one thing, and I tell people that pricing is one thing, and what you get for that, the value is something else, right? And I'm a realtor, so of course I know all about pricing and how people think we're overpriced and they want to chew us down, but they want everything done, right? And so, but I think people have to understand, the value they're going to get for it, right? So important. I'm going to tell our guest that if they have any questions, to please put their questions in the question icon, or even if they just want to drop it in the comments. I'm watching the comments, so in case they have any questions, it'd be great. Just drop your questions, and if you don't get to it here, we will get back to you for sure. So what about? I know you're getting ready to paint a room, and the room, like the walls are not perfect. There's some damage. How do you manage that situation?
I can take this one. This is kind of, I see a lot of questions, we get in, I'm managing the office, kind of the office front and media. And we get a lot of people that want estimates via pictures. And although pictures are great, it's not always clear what's happening with walls and some of the work that's involved. We need to understand what kind of repairs need to be done. Was there prior patch jobs that were done poorly? Often, if there's been wallpaper removal at some point, there's actually leftover glue, which can really affect a finish. In older homes, we've got things like lead paint. If we're opening up ceilings in older homes, we need to make sure that there's not asbestos and these types of things. So we like to go over and provide an in-person estimate is always best, and really get a touch and feel for the rooms and understand, the trim work that's going on in the rooms. There's different elements that will require a better level of detail and preparation to make sure that we can keep that space exactly how the client wants it to be once we're finished. So preparation is key, preparation is key, and and making sure that the product or the room is prepared properly, taped off properly, furniture is out of the way so that our guys can move freely within the space as well.
Yeah. And, you know, I mean, I look at you and you're saying taped off and you're a pro. I see people who are not pros and, you know, they just don't get the
Can
concept of
be
masking tape
messy.
or taping,
We're
you
often
know.
called to fix those types of projects too,
Yeah.
unfortunately, which can be frustrating for a customer.
Yeah, I bet. It can be frustrating for me. I walk in and someone's telling me the house is painted until I take a look and I'm like, oh my God, how do I tell you this nicely?
Well, we're here to help if we can help you with anything, Jacqueline.
Absolutely. So can you describe any unique techniques or approaches that you've developed over the years to achieve like certain effects or finishes?
I could pretend to profess what those techniques are, but those actually, they lay best in the hands of our experienced painters. Where our experienced painters have, 15 years or more experience behind them. They have seen far more, detail-oriented elements of the painting business than any of us could ever hope to forget. They have their own proprietary ways of doing things, I'll say it. It's one of the very neat things about experience that I find is when you learn how to do something and then you see somebody that can do it better than you create this hybridized way of doing it that's better than both. And that is the summary of experience, in my opinion. And that's what our painters bring to the table. And never ceases to amaze myself or our clients how effectively they are able to deliver a quality product, especially doing a lot of things in the commercial sphere where time is money. We can't afford to have our office out of commission for a week for an entire repaint, where we can get the team in and out very, very effectively and have a quality finish where people are asking afterwards, wow, who painted this? Do they do homes too? And of course we're here and we do.
So I want to say that we have someone in here, Avion Design Company, saying that Matt and Lindsay and their team are phenomenal. Quality workmanship.
Yes, we
that's the
have worked with Avion Design Co. and Megan there, who's an incredible designer. We've worked with her before on multiple projects. So thank you so much. We appreciate you joining the live as well.
So can you talk about, what you do for, ensuring safety?
Well, safety during a process is, is first and foremost. When we talk about the experience of a painter, that experience is really garnered through their ability to work safely. We have all of our appropriate insurances, WSIB, working and height certifications. We invest in the training for that safety component of our business. And that is why we get invited back into especially those commercial spaces where safety is so important, because there's such a large cost affixed to anything that would fall under the umbrella of being unsafe. And then of course, aside from a financial thing, our painters are very important to us. We know their families, they know ours. So we try and operate within kind of that family-oriented small business, as opposed to, here's what I want you to do, and we have our separate lives that way. So, like I said, it's very close to the heart that way, to make sure that everyone maintains their safety and is doing things the right way.
Yes, I saw a picture of your family. You have a beautiful family, by the way. So, when I mentioned painting and I was talking about painting, I wanted to make sure, do you do indoor and outdoor?
So one thing I'd like to say, whenever we talk about the scope of what we do, if it gets paint on it, we do it. So I mean, that includes even like the epoxy coatings on concrete flooring. If it's deck staining, your interior, exterior, and we scale all the way up to doing, hotels, multi-story buildings.
down to a residential 2-story house in a nice Forest Hill area. It really ranges, and our teams are available for the small and the large scale projects.
So someone is asking, what are paint colors? What paint colors are trending right now? And I'm sure you can answer this. He's not a designer, and we have a designer on, but I'm sure you can answer this. I'm sure I can answer this too, because I've been kind of reading these magazines. And
it's definitely, and it's a shame I just ordered some materials from my local Sherwin-Williams representative, but it's whites, and it kind of breaks down the two proprietary school of those whites as they work with the lighting in your home and the overall effect you're looking to get. But definitely whites open up a space. When we first got on, you were kind of talking about that element of things with colors, and there's the psychology of paint, which we intangibly understand, but that feeling you get when you go into a nice bright room, that can make your morning, that can make your day. And it's a trend that kind of, I think, comes and goes.
It comes and goes, but right now, whites are opening it up. Chantilly lace, we were speaking with them earlier today. Chantilly lace is very popular. We actually recently painted our own home in Soji White by Sherwin-Williams. We call this the grayish line. It's a little bit of beige, it's a little bit of gray, depending on your flooring and your lighting, how that will look. It's great because we do offer for any confirmed project, if clients are undecided about what shade of white, because there's a big difference, or what color they'd like to use, we do offer a free consultation to work with a professional color consultation person from Sherwin-Williams who will help you choose out that perfect color. And for our own home, I used the service, and it was not what I had initially intended to use, but it was far superior to anything I had already selected. So that's just an added bonus that we offer when customers are needing help choosing colors for their project.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's really amazing. And of course, the person who asked the question said, so right, love that, thank you. But I was going to add to that and saying, when you said white is not really white. If someone wants to run out and just get a can of white, trust me, you will be so floored when you go to the store and you see the amount of whites they have. You'll be so confused. So white is not really white, right? Because there's so many shades of white, and they're so pretty, so pretty. So let's talk about Warm and Fuzzy. Tell us about, a project that you've completed that was really memorable, and that you really, that made a difference, and that you want to share.
For us, it was recently, just over the winter, we were inside a 100-year-old Toronto home that hadn't been painted in probably 20 years, about 20 years. And the lady was moving out. She was downsizing, and actually family was moving in. But they wanted to maintain the moldings around the stairs and the windows and the door frames. They were really beautiful. So our customer worked with the Sherwin-Williams, actually, color consultation. We did their cupboards, complete reface of all the cupboards, and then painted every single room from top to bottom. There were a lot of dings in the walls, as you can get from traffic over 20 years. So wasn't sure how that was all going to come together, because it still had those natural wood tones to the trim work and such. But it was a really big wow factor from the owner who was moving out. It was a bit bittersweet that they were kind of downsizing through their retirement, but it was family moving in, so they got to brighten up the space and modernize it while keeping those historical elements to the home. So I think that was a huge wow factor for me, with seeing that all come together.
And with that being said, even the materials that are really now available to us, chemistry has really come a long way. So when Lindsay was mentioning the wood grains and some of the trims in that home, one of the nice things about those heritage homes is kind of maintaining some of that character. So we have, they're called solid stains, where you can stain a color over wood and allow that grain to still come through, where it kind of goes on in an application process like a paint, but still allows you some of that grain transparency. So you, like I said, you maintain that character. And I mean, the other thing about those heritage homes, those are all plaster and lath homes. So you know what that does over time, where, you know, to really go in and be able to make that house look new again. You know, seeing the look on the client's face after, like, I didn't even know this could be possible. I thought I would have to, you know, break it all down and do all new drywall. And we have the technology, we can rebuild it.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, those homes, they're beautiful, but, you know, sometimes people, instead of getting a professional to paint, fill it or repair, they try to do like one of those pad jobs. And it's like, I mean, it's a hard technique, right? So just to, yeah, so that's amazing. So, you know, as we get closer to wrapping up, like, what advice would you give homeowners who are, looking to hire a professional painter for their project, and what should they be looking for?
So the biggest thing is really working with a professional, because there are a lot of people that, you know, they might represent themselves a certain way, but they really don't do any credits to the profession. So, you know, making sure you're working with somebody that is knowledgeable, has all the appropriate precautions in place in terms of, you know, having the liability insurance. Because, I mean, I could probably go way over time talking about some of the nightmares I've been exposed to with elements like that. But, you know, making sure that they know their processes. Because, you know, like you said, with a plaster and lath home, if you're doing the wall repairs, there's a special way that has to be performed. It's not just, you know, putting compound in the crack, sand and paint. Mm-hmm. There's a whole art to it to make sure that crack doesn't find its way back. Looking at you know, what the materials are going to be used are, because again, with paint, there's such a wide variety of what is available and what that finished product would look like. The biggest thing that I've seen personally, especially kind of given the recent economic downturn, is there is lots of people that will come in and, you know, really paint for pennies on the dollar, and they represent themselves as being professional painters, but they, you know, they don't finish the job.
Yes. So look for somebody that's licensed, insured, has good testimonials. Really good
testimonials are a really, really big thing. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of one of the elements that we pride our business off of, is we're very customer focused to make sure that we are delivering on what we promise. I mean, it's we always do what we say we are going to do, and that is a very important, I think, trait in any successful business, whether it be painting or another contractor, is just making sure that, you know, the character of the company you're dealing with is solid.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I mean, your word of mouth is important. It's crucial. It can make or break a business. The other part to it is that, you know, I always say it doesn't matter whether you're in your corporate job or you're in your own business. The only thing you get to take with you is your name, right? You come into this world, and at the end of it, you get to take your name with you. And you know, and that's the most important, at least for me, right? And of course, I think sometimes people, you know, want to save money, and so, you know, liability. I mean, this is their biggest asset, right? And so sometimes I tell people, think about it. This is your biggest asset. If you're looking for cheap, you may just get cheap, you know, you may just get a little bit of a headache with cheap. So it's important to pay attention, like those sort of, you know, WSIB. And I mean, my neighbor, he takes good advantage of me. He says to me, every time I'm doing something, he's like, hey, what are you doing? And it's kind of funny because he tells the guys, when you're done, can you come and take a look at mine? And I'm like, are you going to like copy me? And but the good part is he allows me to like literally pick stuff for him, but he knows that I've already done the homework for them. So he's like, why am I going to go do the homework? I know you've already checked these people out or whatever. Anyhow, in wrapping up, I wanted to, maybe give you an opportunity to touch on something that I haven't asked you yet. I know I asked you some, expensive, difficult questions, but is there anything else, not question, just, about, you'd like people to know about you?
Well, we're a brand, but we're also locally owned and operated. We employ people in the Toronto community, and we also operate in the Muskoka region. So not just your homes, but your cottages as well. So if you ever are looking for, anything in the painting sphere and you want an estimate, estimates are always free. So there's no harm in that. So give us a call, follow us on Instagram, find us online, lots of reviews for you to read as well and see our work.
Excellent. So I want to thank you for spending your evening with me. I so appreciate it. It helps me get across, if you have quality people and people are looking, it helps me share that information. And like I said before, I am a realtor, but I'm also looking to build a community, right? And I want a community of good people that are not afraid to work hard and have good customer service, because that's what I offer my clients, right? And so, so thank you so much. And for all of you watching, follow at CertaPro Painters _ Toronto. And my name is Jacqueline Watson. I'm a realtor with Sutton Group Tower in Toronto. I appreciate all of you watching Monday evenings at 6. This is where you'll find me. If you have a topic you'd like me to unpack further, DM me. I'm happy to do that. And if you want to get on the show, get in touch. I'm happy to do that as well.
Jacqueline, for having us.
So much.
Thank you.
Take care. Have a good evening, everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Take care.